What a brand new day. In fact, TB, tell me what I'm gonna do today. A redo review of Gantz? Huh, it's been so long since I actually saw that anime. Come to think of it, how is my original video exactly?
Now, when it comes to the story, it has a lot of interesting tidbits, but didn't do much as it cuts so short. But before I start ranting about that, first I'll say what this anime tries to do. Throughout the entire run,
I gotta stop watching my old videos. Hello there everyone, this is the Animewolfgamer here, and today I'm going to be doing a re-review of Gantz. Man, has this anime defined my early years when I was such an avid anime fan. Gantz is a series that I have personal distaste for because this anime I got into thanks to the hype, and boy was that a disappointment. Because of that, it led to one of the worst videos I ever made from it. Yeah, I know it's the first video, but the awful mid quality, the terrible points that I made without looking or cleaning up for a better presentation, and the worst of all, black borders. Ugh. Now, it's been a few years since then. Has my opinion on it changed? Well, kinda, but I still say it's not as good as people called it. But this time, I'm gonna go a bit more in detail compared to my past self. So let's get started, folks. This is my review of Gantz. Our story starts with Key, who is basically the horny asshole from your school. No, literally, they show nudity in the first episode.
Too. And since triangle BAD is an isosceles triangle, it also follows.
Anyway, later on, Key and an old friend named Kaito die from getting hit by a train after helping a hobo. But luckily, they aren't dead, at least not yet, as they are thrown into a room where a ball named Gantz forces them to hunt down aliens for their freedom. Now, with a story concept like this, it is the most original concept of an anime that I have seen, unless a retro anime done it first. I like the idea of it, and for the most part, it takes that concept and give it its all. Not to mention that it gets very high stakes as it goes along, with every alien being harder than the next one. It will keep you engaged enough to see who will live and who will survive. I'm not kidding, characters that do have a lot of screen time are not immune to death or suffering very critical injuries. I also like how they're not afraid to show very dark themes in humanity. It shines through even if it gets a little preachy at times. But those positives are buried across a huge set of flaws that I keep noticing throughout the story. Okay, now first I would like to start with the theme of the anime, as while I do praise it, it also very much backfires too. The anime basically shows how humanity is shit and no one cares for human life other than themselves. Now, the problems that I have with this theme is that it gets way too in your face about it. I'm not joking that every episode shows off people being mean to each other, and that is fine, but when they start acting a bit like cartoon villains for some, it takes you out of the experience. Luckily, there are some hints of showing humanity that isn't always shit, but I ask, why not a balance? Especially when the edge is way too high with all the horrible character deaths and some decent ones as well later on. It got so in your face that there is a scene where two guys beat up a homeless man while singing "Enjoy" about it.
Happy as you look up at the big blue sky, kids boys on the radio.
Plus they bash his brains out. That right there is the main issue with the theme of Gantz. Instead of being subtle with it, they proceed to beat you over the head with it as much as possible. I really hate it when it does that because the makers of this anime doesn't seem to think that a death game is enough, so we had to throw in more humans being shitty people. Now, I'm not saying that the anime can't do this, but I do have a problem when it doesn't let us think to ourselves and needs this kind of edge to be deep and mature. I'm sorry, but it doesn't work that way. But that isn't the worst of it, as the pacing is
so goddamn slow.
I I mean, holy shit, I've never seen an anime that has so much slow pacing here. It could pretty much rival the Big Three, only it would look worse by comparison because at least the Big Three has something happening in each episode for the most part. Here, the story takes a humongous backseat when they are in that fucking room. I can understand when trying to have some breathing room and explain what is going on, but when it's like that for about 4 fucking times, I think it's kinda pushing it.
Huh? Where am I? What is this room?
I guess you died there?
Well, the last thing I remember was seeing a very cute picture of a kitten, and I guess I died of cuteness.
Well, it's better than how I went out.
Should I ask?
I'd rather not talk about it.
Huh? Where am I?
You're dead, Brick.
Okay, first of all, my name is not Brick anymore, it's Jorden. And second of all, what?!
Well, not entirely.
Well, what is gonna happen to us now?
Well, I can explain it to ya. You see...
So, we're gonna hunt aliens?
That is right.
Okay, but why did you have to go so in-depth about it?
Because I thought you wouldn't get it.
What just happened? I just a moment ago was surrounded by the soldiers and what?
Oh, well, you see... And that is why we're here.
You do realize that you didn't need to drag out the explanation that long.
Well, I think that should be the last time.
Huh? What?
Oh, you know what? I can explain.
Oh no.
Anime, is there really a reason for having such a long explanation for something simple?
He's been doing that every time someone new shows up.
Huh? What's going on? Don't you dare.
Where am I? I was battling Hellspawn, then light shines bright before I'm being here?
Well...
No!
Alright, it's time to hunt some aliens.
Finally!
What is that black ball? What?
I'll explain it on the way, sis. First time is acceptable, but then it just repeats with the same room, and seeing that place really gives me a migraine. Not to mention that the story seems to halt within these missions. I swear to God they never seem to think because it took them 10 minutes to decide if they do it or not. This happens throughout the entire anime, and this is also a big issue in the manga as well. Seriously, the missions they went on are ruined because you know if the story allows it, they would have been done in 1 or 2 episodes or less. I know it's supposed to show us how hard it is to deal with these kind of alien friends, but when it involves logical decisions and choices, it gets very distracting and very annoying that you just want to scream, "Hey, how about you shoot now, jackass?" I really hate it when an anime does this to just drag out the narrative, but that doesn't seem to lead anywhere because the ending fucking blows. Yep, it's the read the manga type of ending, and it just ends where things are finally gonna have a turnaround, and it pisses me off because it teases me like that. I've never seen an ending this bad since Berserk's ending, and I think it's a lot worse compared to this one. So yeah, the story, while original in concept, was bragged down by the slow pace, forced edgy themes, insulting of an ending despite all the dangers and high stakes. The art style is a mixed bag to me. Now, I love how the characters are drawn in this. They're not the generic anime style that you see in most character basic designs. Every single character you'll remember because of their facial details and bodies, especially if you like a specific body type. The 3D is pretty well used here and it adds to the style. There is some CGI and for the most part it looks good, even if some of it looks outdated. But however, even great character designs, it doesn't stop when you notice how low budget the more that you look at it. I swear, there are moments where they drop the quality and it gets very noticeable. Hell, the action scenes really suffer a bit because of this, and had it continued, I don't think the fans would like how they did the action later down the manga knowing how intense it gets. But hey, the aliens look awesome. I'm not kidding that these are some really damn good alien designs that doesn't follow the generic template that we've seen so many times from other media. To go back on the CGI thing, the outdated scenes just look so noticeable, especially when the characters are in the scene. Also, hope you like seeing the characters in one place as they just stand there doing nothing for a couple of minutes. Oh, you'll get that a lot, especially in that fucking room, unless you get two characters fucking, of course. Yes, they actually show full frontal nudity, which I can't show or else I'll get flagged for that. I'm just gonna say they are nice to look at, but it gets boring when it's sort of the same position repeated so many times. Glad they're only a few seconds long. Oh, and for the gore fanatics, don't worry as this anime gets you covered. They at least kept all of that, and oh boy do they show that the aliens won't hold back on dismemberment, bone crushing, and gut splattering. Overall, the art does a good job standing out, but it has a lot of issues, mainly in its animation and CGI.
What the hate? What's going on?
It's pointless. We've all tried and we can't touch the doors or even the walls. If we could, we wouldn't still be sitting in this room. Even our cell phones are blocked.
Please tell.
The music is pretty meh at best. All the stuff that I heard here is pretty generic, but it fits in the sense of lost hope and helplessness. Unfortunately, I don't remember a few of them other than some pumping beats that appear in the battles and all that. This goes to the same for the ending theme as it's so generic to me. Granted it fits, especially later down the road, but I'm sorry, but it just doesn't click with me. But the opening on the other hand... Holy shit, is this amazing! Seriously, this is J-Rock, J-Pop, and Techno all combined into one opening and I fucking love it! I had this song set as my ringtone just because of how amazing it is. It's just so goddamn addicting and it makes me confused as to why not more techno beats were added to the soundtrack. I feel that is a given as instead we got no music to some zombie pieces, which I guess can work, but when the action is involved, it's just the by the beats number tunes, which sucks. So overall, the soundtrack is pretty meh with a few exceptions and that fucking opening. I will never get tired of listening to that.
Doesn't matter if it's in Asia or Africa, if it's Chechnya or the Middle East. Armies are nothing more than people ordered to kill other people, right?
Now, to give credit, the English dub voice acting really is well acted for the most part. I say they capture their characters pretty well, especially Key and his personality per se. However, the dub sure loves the word fuck because every moment within the script, someone is saying that within every line they speak.
Fucking cow. Why the fuck are you taking pictures?
I'll fucking kill you! Just shoot the fucker! Fuck you!
Fuck! What am I doing down here?
Still not as much as panty and stocking, which kinda makes this look like child's play. What makes the dub more interesting is that I swear the scriptwriters are taking this way too seriously, which I say it helps a bit in the comedy. I'm not joking that this dub has a lot of preachy moments, which, yeah, I said it before, the story is like that, but the dub takes it a step further with all the voice actors. No disrespect to the subs, as I think it's well acted, which helps as it tries to take itself seriously, but to everyone who thinks the dub is shit because it went against everything that the sub stands for, let's just say that the dubs does stay accurate, especially with the themes of humanity and all the killings. 2004 people, this is really accurate. I'll say that if you're going into this show and don't want to take it too seriously, then watch the dubs. Honestly, I recommend watching it in that language, but that is just me.
Here comes another one! Huh? Hey! Don't I know you?
Huh?
You came to my bookstore this afternoon, right?
Yeah.
The characters comes in so many flavors, but with none of the seasonings needed to make them digestible. But let's start with our main, shall we? Key is honestly one of the most despised protagonists that I have ever seen in an anime. I really mean it that this guy is basically your average fuckhole who only cares for nothing other than himself. To the anime's credit, that seems to be the point, and I do like it that we got a drastic change from an asshole to a simple protagonist that just wants to do the right things. However, the anime's themes being as subtle as a cowboy running on a Twinkie, it gets pretty forced as the show keeps on going. A part of me is really hoping he dies throughout these missions just because of it. However, as I mentioned before, he does change, but I honestly didn't care, and with the anime ending on that fucking cliffhanger, it just makes it very disappointing, and that is something that the manga at least does better at. Strangely enough, I enjoy watching Kaito more because he had a much more interesting character despite the stupidity he puts. I like his background, and his no-kill policy would have been more interesting even if the first time we saw that, it almost got him killed. That and I really feel sorry for him when he lives with his brother in an abusive household. Seriously, I wish Kaito would just slap that bitch. Then next we got the female lead who is also named Ki. Describing her is pretty hard only because she is a sex object. No, I'm not joking that she gets a lot of chance of getting nude and molested by other people and the dog. That is her character, and I'll say that you can replace her with a stick and a pair of boobs and it wouldn't make a goddamn difference. Next we got Nishi, who is the biggest asshole of the group, and he is meh for the most part. I will say I like how blunt he is and doesn't give a rat's ass to anyone but himself. He makes Ki look better by comparison, and he actually murders people when he gets pissed off. Damn, such an edgy team with a sad backstory. That totally makes me feel sorry for him now. The rest of the cast is basically what you get from society, ranging from businessmen, fitness people, gangsters, and so forth. Now, to the anime's credit, every single one of them do get a different personality, and it's actually thanks to the slow pacing. Yeah, I know, I shit on the pacing, but to give it credit, most of them do get enough screen time to tell us who they are. But unfortunately, most of them ended up being cannon fodder for our main characters, so they didn't last long to be anyone's favorite list of anime characters with a few exceptions. Thankfully, this doesn't affect our main characters as they do die too, and let me tell you, I do feel a lot for the characters when they meet their end. Death has a meaning here, and I know the manga brings some of them back, but in anime terms, it was amazing how they kill off the mainstays and they stay dead throughout the series. It makes the likable characters have more impact because it makes you feel sorry for them when it happens. Tetsu is one example, being that he has a family to take care of, as well as Kaito with his little brother. I just wish that the rest of the characters have some more impact, but you know, for the fact that every single one of them will just die, at least they lasted long enough to see what kind of people they are. Also, I thought I'd say this, I think the creator of the anime and manga has a hatred for gay people. Yeah, it's noticeable when you see how people react to them, as well as having a bully who wants to fuck Kaito. Yeah, the subtle themes sure makes this deep, right? Overall, the characters, while it does have some variety and all of them lasting enough to get to know who they are, in the end, most of them become cannon fodder, and that is a shame. At least some of them are better than others.
I did on my own. I tried really hard, and sure enough, I did find it. Thank you so much for all of your kind help. I wish you good luck as well, young man.
Looking back on it now, I feel that maybe I was a bit too harsh on it. Well, mostly. Now, Gantz is not that terrible of a series, and I understand why it had a cult following the way it did. The concept and story is original and gritty, and it presents a new look to the world, which is very rare considering that anime nowadays are going for the escapism route. But the slow pacing, the fact that the characters can't see the makeup on their choices, and the unlikability they have, makes this series frustrating to watch at times. While I did get some satisfaction from it, it takes a long while for that to kick in. Also, yes, I agree that the manga is better, but that's only because it has a lot more to offer and the characters having more likability to them later down the road. However, it does still contains the same problems, so expect that. So I only recommend this if this piques your interest for a unique anime series. But if you're not a fan of gore or the very slow pacing, then this is a skip. I give this anime a 1.7 out of 5. Fair. Well, I hope this is a better review compared to my last one. This is the Animewolfgamer here, and I hope the next day will be even better. See ya!
And truth be told, I miss you. And truth